Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Hello, hello. We're going to talk about Thailand. So, I have been watching some videos on YouTube. I've been on X. I just saw this guy post this video on X about how expensive life is in Thailand, and I was shocked because it's not my experience at all. I think Thailand is actually a very inexpensive place to live. And I'm wearing, by the way, I'm wearing my Songkran shirt. This is for the Songkran Festival. When the Songkran Festival is on, I never wear this. I just wear it for the videos and for Songkran. But the idea of broken Bangkok. So you have the guy on this side who is the story that some people will tell you of the expat who finds himself scraping for pennies on the streets of Thailand because he's burned all his money. And of course, the bar girls are laughing at him. Bar girls, another word for women who charge money to spend time with you. And it's not quite that simple. It's more complicated. And then this is sort of supposed to be me. This is probably my vision of what, it's not really, but Wat Tam Sua, you can see the ocean in the background. My wife, I happily married a man who's enjoying life in Thailand and doing well. So I just wanted to give you that sort of background of what's going on. And we're going to dive right into this video from a guy who is describing how expensive Bangkok is. And I'm going to tell you why he's wrong.
Bangkok has gotten super expensive. So today I came to check out how much it really costs to live in the city.
Housing far away from the
So he's going to tell you what it really costs to live in the city. No, he's going to start housing far away from the train that's less expensive. This, in my opinion, is a mistake, but and I'll show you why in a minute.
train is cheaper, so I took a motorcycle taxi to the station. That was 20 baht. Then I bought a one-way ticket to the city center, another 50 baht. The SkyTrain is
So he's already spent 70 baht, or about $2, more than $2, just to get to the city center. I'm not sure why he needs to go to the city center. Like, I think if the story, as I understand it, is he's just going for lunch. Plenty. Yeah, don't go broke. If you're just traveling for a few days or a week, you're not going to go broke. But this is if you're going to live in Thailand. If you're choosing to live far outside of town, and then you're going to take a train into the city center, how is that going for lunch? Because the story he tells us, this is how much it cost me to go to lunch and have a drink. Well, you don't have to go that far. You don't have to go to city center for that. But anyway, let's keep going.
owned and pricey. It has a fixed schedule and intense air conditioning. It is super packed in the mornings. Around 700,000 trips are made on it daily. I started with coffee on the street. The city is packed with coffee franchises, but cheap options are available.
30 baht for this coffee. It's not bad, actually. The average Thai salary worker, this is probably the coffee that they can budget for.
Outdoor coffee stands offer affordable on-the-go drinks, while corporate and
So this is Cafe Amazon. You might pronounce it Amazon, but in Thailand they pronounce it Amazon. This price chart here. If you go to Starbucks, it's more expensive. But I'm going to show you. Well, I'm going to show you the pricing. But in Gateway Mall, I lived in Bangkok. I lived close to a train station. Now I'm not poor, right? I spend money, but I was spending $620 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. Hello, Mark. I was spending $600 a month, but I'm going to show you places where you can rent for less than $150 a month, not very far from where I was. And in Gateway Mall, which we live next to, you could get a iced coffee drink or a coffee drink, whatever, for 29 baht, which is less than $1. Similar, he paid 30 baht, right? And you can, I'm going to show you a restaurant that we would go to where 15 baht, you can get an iced tea.
are twice as expensive. Street food is priced
No, they're not.
similarly to the grocery stores and restaurants, which are sometimes even more expensive than in Europe. I took a bus to
So let's be clear, more expensive than Europe. I can find places to go where I spend a lot of money, right? If I go to Blue Sky Cafe in Sentara Lat Phrao, where we just stayed, what did I spend? About 5,000 baht for 6 people, right? So 5,000 baht it's not even $200 for 6 people at the #1 restaurant in Bangkok. The #1 rated on TripAdvisor restaurant in Bangkok, fancy, top of the building, whatever, spectacular views when you go out on the patio, whatever. And you can spend more than that. I've spent a lot of money in some restaurants in Bangkok, but if you're trying to not go broke in Bangkok, then you don't do that, right? If you have my money, you can go ahead and do that once in a while. But I'm just going to show you like an indoor air conditioned restaurant in a minute that's reasonable and housing that's reasonable.
Instead, the hot fan bus costs 10 baht, and even though you sweat, it's a real thrill. The window seat.
The buses in Bangkok start at 8 baht for the really cheap buses. The air conditioned buses might be 10 or 15 baht. 8 baht is like 25 cents. 15 baht is like 50 cents. I almost never ride a bus in Bangkok. I don't know why he's riding a bus. I don't know where he's going. I almost never ride. If you're really being cheap, the bus makes sense, but it's not pleasant.
From airflow. The bus didn't reach the market, so I took another 30 baht wind motosai. Once there, I had
He said motosai. That's the Thai word for motorcycle. So one of the common ways that foreigners get around and Thai people get around is you ride on the back of a motorcycle. You pay the guy 30 baht, 20 baht, depending on how far you're going. 30 baht's like $1, and you'll get a ride for, a mile or two, right? He's not wearing a helmet. Thailand has one of the highest traffic fatality rates in the world, primarily because all these people on motorcycles without helmets or just on motorcycles in general. The motorcycle riders are terrible drivers. I have not been on a motorcycle actually in 30 years, maybe more than 30 years. The last time I was on a motorcycle, I think was in Japan in like 1994. That's like 40 years. No, that's like 30 years, right? I won't get on a motor. I was a car accident lawyer. I know what happens in car accidents if you're on a motorcycle. Don't get on a motorcycle. I have some very wealthy friends who do this. They ride on these motorcycles. Like, why are you in a hurry? What are you doing? Because the motorcycles will get you through traffic quicker. That is the major advantage. But if he mentioned the train. If you live near a train station, which I'm going to show you near where I lived, how you can live inexpensively near a train station. It's called BTS or MRT. These are monorail-like systems that cover a lot of Bangkok. Bangkok's the only city that has it in Thailand. Japan has these everywhere, but it's spectacular. So that, like, I don't know why anybody would choose to live where you're riding the buses and you're riding on the back of motorcycles when you can choose to live within walking distance of an MRT or BTS for low cost and do all the things you want to do.
Street food for 55 baht and a Sprite.
So he paid 55 baht for street food. Okay, he's getting from a vendor on the street, and then he's getting a Sprite for 20 baht. Now I'm going to show you a different restaurant, but if you go to one of the popular places, there really is no city center. I don't know why he said that, but if you go to Terminal 21, which is at the where two major lines intersect, the green line and the blue line, the Sukhumvit line and the MRT blue line intersect at BTS Asok, MRT Sukhumvit. And there's a mall called Terminal 21. You go to the 5th floor, you can get dinner or lunch for like 40 baht, like $1.25. I'm not like, I personally don't like that place, but it's jam-packed. It's hard to get a table because it's just so popular. And there's plenty of malls that have food courts where you can eat inexpensively. You don't have to eat street food. And I generally avoid street food. If you do it right, you can do okay with street food, but I generally avoid street food. It's like, one of the things you're going to see, we're doing this video now, we're going to do clips from another video later. If you choose to live in a risky way, you're increasing the risk you're going to have some very large expenses. But if you live sensibly, then you don't have very large expenses. Hello, Karsten. Hello, Jim. Charlie Kirk made me do it. Interesting name. Hi, B. So let's keep going here. So you can see he's running a list of what he spent
20 baht.
To get lunch.
The food was fresh, but the plate was small. 2 meals this size are necessary in a day. Here, fresh ingredients for cooking are cheap.
He's showing you, he calls it like what did he call it?
Once there, I had vegetarian street food for 55 baht and a Sprite for 20 baht. The food was fresh, but the plate was small. 2 meals this size are necessary in a day. Here, fresh ingredients for cooking are cheaper, but prices have doubled in the last 5 years. Market renovations have increased rent, so fresh food is also more expensive. I took another 30 baht win.
So what he was showing you was an outdoor market. The Thai word I think he's referring to, I don't think he knows, he may not know the word talat. There's people in English might call them a night market or there's other names for it, but the Thai word for it is talat. So if you know where to go, there's places you can go and you can get fresh, what seems to be fresh food. Now, I usually go to the supermarket. The real advantage of the talat is if you're buying a very small quantity. When you go to the supermarket, you typically buy larger quantities. In the talat, you can buy 3 eggs. The supermarket, you're probably starting at, I don't know if you can buy less than 10 eggs at the supermarket, just as an example. Um, Charlie Kirk made me do it, says, I love my motorcycle, but I've had a bike all my life and would not know what to do without one here in the Philippines. So the Philippines is a place that doesn't, other than maybe Manila, you don't have mass transit. Um, but we live in Krabi, Thailand, and we drive a car. If you choose to live in a place that doesn't have bad traffic, Phuket has terrible traffic. Pattaya has some bad traffic sometimes. Bangkok has horrible traffic. If you choose to live in a place that doesn't have bad traffic, then you just drive a car and then you're safe. And you can get a car pretty cheap. You can get a BYD Dolphin for like $10,000, $15,000, something like that. That's an EV. You can buy a used gas car for, I don't know, 5 or 10 grand. If you want to go cheap. I mean, I'm driving a $60,000, 2 million baht Model Y, right? Of course, my electricity bill is a lot less than your gas bill. So over time, I'll make up some of it, and I'm safer because the Model Y is one of the safest cars on the planet. But you can see he's running this list of expenses.
A ride to the 7-Eleven for 40 baht fruit and soda water on sale for 40.
So he's taking this is one of the things I'm like trying to wrap my head around this. He's taking a motorcycle to 7-Eleven to buy fruit and another drink. There's 7-Elevens everywhere. And I was living in one area for a month where you come down the steps from the train station and there's a 7-Eleven at the bottom, and you turn left to go towards our street, and 3 doors over, there's another 7-Eleven. There's intersections where the same corner, but opposite parts of the corner, there's 2 different 7-Elevens. Bangkok is just filled with 7-Elevens. You had to take a motorcycle ride to get to a 7-Eleven where? In city center? That doesn't make any sense. It's like and why didn't you get your fruit at the talat? Why did you get fruit at 7-Eleven? The fruit in the talat is always better than the fruit in the 7-Eleven. The way this guy's making decisions, I just don't get.
I spent 334 baht in one trip for lunch and iced coffee on the street.
So he's saying a trip for lunch and iced coffee, he spent 334 baht, which is over $10. So let me show you where I lived. Okay. So this is a map of, let me just show you a little bit more of this map first. This is the side, the blue part on the other side is the Chao Phraya River, the major river in Bangkok. It divides the city sort of into, most of what I know is on the east side of the river here. So you can see here a restaurant I'm going to talk about in a minute. There's 4 rectangles down here. The next rectangle is Gateway Mall. Okay, Gateway Mall is like a 10-story mall with the 29 baht iced coffee, tea drinks on the ground floor. It's got a food court with inexpensive food. It's got Japanese restaurants. It's got Thai restaurants. There's probably a couple other things in there. There's a Dunkin' Donuts. Don't get the hot dog. No, was it Dairy King? There's a Dairy Queen. Don't get the hot dog at Dairy Queen. You've been warned. Do not get the hot dog. Massive disappointment. And then next to the box, I didn't put a square around it, but the Tree Interchange is where I lived for a year. Okay, I'm not doxing myself because I don't live there anymore. I live in Krabi, Thailand. The next box over, you can see Napa Place. And then the next box over is the BTS station. The BTS has a skywalk. So you can walk above street level to Gateway Mall. And in our Tree Interchange, we had a back gate into Gateway Mall with a covered walkway. So even if it's raining, you might get wet for like a second, but you can mostly avoid getting wet on the skywalk, which is covered, on the walk within our condo complex to get to the mall. And Napa Place is like, you just walk out and you go up the stairs and you're on the skywalk to the BTS. And then up here is another place to live. And I'm going to just show you Napa Place. Like when people say, oh, you're going to see the next guy, not this guy, the next guy. It's just like so ridiculous how much he describes this stuff. So Napa Place, you can get it's a small condo. It's a 250 square foot condo or apartment, whatever. Not a condo, it's an apartment. But 6,500 baht right next to the station. 6,500 baht a month is $200. $200 a month. You live in a small apartment. You've got air conditioning. The furniture's included. Parking, motorcycle parking. There's an elevator. There's hot water. The hot water heat. The water heater is probably, there's a hot water heater in the shower. You probably don't get like I don't in my house. I don't get hot water at the sinks. I don't get the only hot water is at the shower. And just be clear, I'm spending $1,500 a month, 50,000 baht a month on a nice house. When I was in the tree interchange, I was paying 22,000 baht, which is about $620 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo with a spectacular view of that river. You can see the river over there. We had this gorgeous view of the river. 36 floors nice until the earthquake hits. Anyway, so 6,500 baht a month. You're right there. You're right at the station. You're right next to Gateway Mall. You're spending $205 a month in rent. And then your air conditioning costs something, but it's a small space, so you're not spending much on air conditioning. The electricity bill's 8 baht per kilowatt hour, which is a little pricey. There's the water bill will cost you nothing. Like utilities will cost you nothing. It's cheap. And just to give you a sense, this is what it looks like. Napa Place, it's a fairly new, nice apartment building. The units are small, but it's fairly nice. Now, you also have, I'll show you, this is an older building that's farther from the station. Again, let's show you here. That's up here. So that's more like a 10-minute walk to the BTS. You can't walk 10 minutes. You're going to pay to hop on the back of a motorcycle instead of picking a place. So 4,700 baht. That's like less than 150. I think it's about $150 a month, maybe less than $150 a month. You get 300 square feet. It's on the 17th floor, so you have a view. It's not spectacular, but it's not bad. I think this place might actually have some amenities like a swimming pool or a store or something like that. The other place doesn't have a pool. My building had a nice pool, never went in for a whole year. 8th floor infinity pool, 2-story gym. I joined the gym in the mall instead because I'm very particular about my gym. But my building, the 40th floor, is spectacular. And in my building, you could get a smaller condo for maybe $300 a month. And now you're in like a nice building. You've got the security, you've got the fast elevator. There's a 7-Eleven down. There's literally a 7-Eleven attached to the building. A lot of the condo complexes have a 7-Eleven in the building or attached to the building. And there's another place that's not far from this called Bangkok, where Regent Home 28 I stayed for a week, and they had one of the best gyms I've seen in any condo building. My building's gym wasn't that great. Regent Home 28 had a great gym. And then I mentioned there's this restaurant, again, short walk. And this guy's, how much did he spend? 334 baht? Okay. You can get Shadam, the second row on the left, 15 baht. Shadam, iced tea. Just a straight black iced tea, right? You can get these fancy drinks for 25 baht, 45 baht, 35 baht, 40 baht. You can get a bunch of fancy drinks and like 32 baht is $1, right? So for 25 baht, you get a Thai iced tea, right? I mean, how much do you pay for a Thai iced tea in an American restaurant? $3, $4? It's less than $1. Pro tip, if you are in Thailand and you're getting any of these drinks and you don't want them to be too sweet because you're watching your calories, you say wan noi. Wan noi means less sweet. They might ask you what percent. If you understand the question, you say 25, 50, 30%, whatever. They'll recognize the numbers. They all know the numbers. Did I buy a house in Thailand? I rent. Do I think it's worth buying a scooter rather? I do not give advice on scooters. I have no opinion on scooters. Taipei has more 7-Eleven. I was in Taipei. I didn't notice the 7-Elevens. Yeah, there might be 7-Elevens inside a 7-Eleven. That's probably true. So we have not bought a house yet. I think there's a chance we will. I'm watching Tesla stock. If Tesla stock goes up enough, those who don't know my channel, I'm a Tesla investor. If Tesla stock goes up enough, I may buy a house anyway. I could buy a nice house here for like $200,000, and I can afford to spend $200,000. It would be in my wife's name, but I haven't found the house. I did find a house I really kind of wanted that it's less than $200,000, like 5 large bedrooms and a spectacular view and all that, but just wasn't ready to pull the trigger on spending because I want my $200,000 in Tesla stock, if you know me. And renting is cheap. I pay $1,500 a month. How long is it going to take me to spend $200,000 at $1,500 a month? We've got a nice house. This is a nice new house and a great location. So, and then the food, right? So, let me make this bigger. So you can see the prices start at 45. Here's one for 40 baht. You can get some dishes. I think that's a rice dish. Oh, what is that? Oh, that's an egg dish. I maybe um, 45 baht to 75 baht. 45 baht is less than $1.50. Like he said, he paid 55 baht for street food. This is an air conditioned restaurant. I don't understand. This is an air conditioned restaurant. How are you paying? And I understand depending on what you're buying, but he's buying vegetarian. There's no meat in your food. You're paying 55 baht for vegetarian food. Um, on street food. Like uh, if you go to city center, things tend to be more expensive. And again, where are we? We are out. This is about 30 minutes ride on the on the Blue MRT from MRT Sukhumvit, which is what I would call one of the city centers. There's another city center that you would probably call Siam. SIAM, Siam. Is that's where the blue line, where the green line meets the yellow line, the Siloam line. Maybe that's orange. Green line meets the orange line, whatever. That's a very, very busy spot. So yeah, if you're in the middle of the most expensive part of Bangkok, but if your objective was to go get lunch and a drink, why did you go to city center for that? Why didn't you just, and and to be clear, there's two things about Thailand that you should know. There's something you should know about Thailand. This is my perspective. Not everybody thinks this way, but to me, there's two Thailands. There's this area of Thailand, and it's in Bangkok. It's in the only place that doesn't have it that I can think of is Phuket, where you spend your day and maybe you'll see 5 foreigners over the course of the day, and almost everyone around you is Thai. To me, that's Thailand. If you go to Sukhumvit, if you go to Terminal 21, if you go to Siam, if you go to Phuket, if you go to Pattaya, you go to places where all the bar girls are, Hua Hin. If you go, like I live in Krabi, if you go to Ao Nang in Krabi, then there's lots of foreigners. So I call those places foreigner land. Things are more expensive in foreigner land, although you can still find pretty good prices in foreigner land. Andy says I was several times on a taxi bike in Thailand. There's an app called Grab, which is like Uber, so you can get Grab bike. You can just see a guy wearing a vest and has a scooter. People will ask you if you want a ride, and they'll charge you 20, 30, 40 baht, whatever. If you haven't heard of it, there's something called a tuk-tuk, which is like a 3-wheeled vehicle that's probably safer than a scooter, but not as safe as a car. And the taxis are cheap. The car taxis are cheap too. I don't understand. I don't think I've seen e-bikes around B. And it's, you could buy a scooter. My advice is don't risk it. And you're going to see why in a minute. Okay, so let's move on to
Meet David.
this guy.
Welcome to another episode of Thailand Truth Talks. Bangkok Expat Reality.
So this guy has this really dead voice. I think this video had a ton of views, Bangkok True Talks or something like that. And expat reality. And what I'm going to tell you is the story that this guy tells. I'm giving you short clips from it. I don't know what he's talking about. I think this guy's crazy. I don't think things are anywhere near as bad as he's describing them. So that's one clip. Here's another clip.
Thousands of Western retirees are living in Bangkok, and most of them are about to lose everything.
Most of them are about to lose everything. See, that's way over the top, completely false, total nonsense, fear mongering. I just showed you. Let me take a step back. If you come to Thailand broke, okay, you got no money, and you think you're going to find a job, that's the wrong way to do it. If you have a job in the US or Europe and it allows you to be remote and you're making $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year, honestly, on $50,000 a year, you can live spectacular in Bangkok. But if your game plan depends on you making money here, things can be a lot tougher. Okay. And I think the guy on the previous video, I think he has some job. Maybe he's an English teacher. Like if you're teaching English in Thailand, you might be making, $1,500 a month, right? Less than $2,000 a month. then things are, but and my joke about living in Thailand, and I just showed you rent that was less than 1,500, two different places you could rent for $200 a month, $150 a month. But my joke about living in Thailand is you can live here in Bangkok for $1,000 a month. You spend $300 a month in rent, which is for a nicer condo than the two places I showed you. Still 300 square meters, but more amenities in the building, or maybe it's less amenities, but a larger unit. $300 a month for food. I can do $10. If I was motivated, I could do this. $300 a month. I could do less for rent. I could do $300 a month for food, $10 a day. Make yourself breakfast for $1 or $2. Eggs are, I just paid, you get 30 eggs at Macro for large eggs for 120 baht, which is less than $4. So you eat 3 eggs for breakfast, right? What is that, 40 cents? Right? And get some lean ham and throw it in there. Maybe some rice, which is cheap. I don't know. You can make yourself breakfast for less than $1. I typically make myself a mix of yogurt and milk and protein powder and berries or whatever. Maybe I spend $2 or $2.50 on my breakfast. Throw a little granola in there, whatever. It's like 500 calories, 50 grams of protein. I have a whole strategy there, but that's still pretty cheap, right? And then, you could make yourself lunch. I sometimes make myself a sandwich, an open face sandwich with 1 slice of bread, some lean ham, some cheese, some mustard, whatever. What did I put on it? I put some olive tapenade. There's this place I buy an olive tapenade. I put it on there. So, but you could go out and this restaurant that I showed you before. You could go to this restaurant, right? We went to this restaurant a lot. Okay, we went to this restaurant a lot, and we would get a meal for less than $2, because 62 baht, 64 baht is about $2. So you can see there's a ton of meals. Like the worst menu starts at 60 baht. This one is 40 to 60 baht. Like, it's easy to eat a meal for less than $2 out. Now, you could spend more. You could spend $3 or $4. So you spend $2 at home for your breakfast and $4 each for lunch and dinner. That's $10. That's $300 a month. So you got $300 a month in rent, $300 a month for food. That's $400 left over for hookers. I'm just kidding. Hookers don't cost that much. I have no idea how much hookers cost. I've never gone that direction, but it is kind of funny that you could definitely live here. But I left out, what does it cost to ride the transit system? If you want to go somewhere, what does it cost for a beer? About in a restaurant, 80 baht, so about $2.50, $2.60 for a Singha beer. This is not a Hawaiian shirt. This is a Songkra shirt, just to be clear. Hi, Jim. Hi, Mark. Who else we got? Karsten, Gavin. So again, with in all sense, like, number one, you could get an apartment close to the train station, close to a station, for less than $200 a month. But I'm saying $300 a month. You can eat for $300 a month. If you're cheap, cook at home, just go to the grocery store and buy stuff. Maybe you go out once a day for a meal. You can keep your expenses really low if you want to be careful. If you want to go drinking, I don't think alcohol is that cheap. If you go out drinking here, it's cheaper if you want to live in a place where you can drink cheap, go to Japan. It's cheaper to drink in Japan than it is in Thailand. Anyway, this story about what this guy said.
Thousands of Western retirees are living in Bangkok, and
it's probably more than 10,000, maybe even close to 50,000 Westerners living in Bangkok. Now, he said retirees, so he's not talking about guys who are working as English teachers, right? He's talking about retirees.
Western retirees are living in Bangkok, and most of them are about to lose everything.
Most of them? Like, I've met lots of foreigners who've been here for long periods of time. Who is retiring here and go, like, if you have $1,000 a month, you don't go broke. I left out, like, medical insurance. Medical insurance, what did I pay? 17,000 baht for, no, I think it was 12,000. I paid like less than $500 for a year's insurance. It wasn't great insurance, but the minimum for the visa I'm getting a new visa. The minimum policy for the visa I'm working on, it was like less than $500 for insurance. And if you spend more money, you spend $1,000 a year, get nice insurance, or $2,000 a year, get really nice insurance.
I'm about to expose the 82% failure. Thousands of
So he says the 82% failure rate. 80, like, there's no, like, he's making that number up, or he's getting it from somewhere that's completely false.
Look at this. $2 pad thai, $15 massages, temples that look like they're made of gold. This is what they show you in the brochure.
This is what they show you in the brochure. I just showed you a menu where less than $2 in an air-conditioned restaurant, you could get a nice dish. By the way, I almost never see pad thai in Thailand. I'm not saying never, but almost never. First, like when you go to a Thai restaurant in America and you see, I actually did have chicken satay tonight, but you'll see chicken satay, you'll see Penang curry, massaman curry, you'll see pad thai. Like, I almost never see those. I know where to get chicken satay from. Grab food. The guy comes on the scooter and delivers it, right? I know where to. I don't know where the place is, but I know how to get it delivered. It was like, I'm gonna get 15 skewers for $5. It was like 15 skewers for $5 delivered. And my wife was ordering something, and they give you free delivery on another thing, and that was one of the other things. So I'm always getting these skewers, chicken skewers delivered. It's just hilarious. So yes, you can get $2 pad thai. You really can. Wherever. There's a wide variety of Thai foods that are out there you can eat for $2. You get omelets, you can get all kinds of things. Do I have a recommendation on websites to rent an apartment? Perhaps I should talk to the rental personally to avoid third-party fees. If you know the place that you want to stay, you like found a condo building you like, there's usually a real estate office attached to it, and they'll show you stuff. There are websites that help you find apartments in Thailand. You typically want to be leasing for at least a year. If you're not doing that, I would recommend Airbnb for 1 month at a time so you can explore and figure out where you want to be. I found people complain about Airbnb. I had almost universally great experiences with Airbnb. I think I had one bad moment, but generally speaking, don't go cheap. Pick places that have, 4.7 star better reviews, right? There's a lot of them. There are, if you search for, rent apartment Bangkok, websites will come up. I found, was it Fazwaz is one of them, whatever. There's a few of them. I found that a lot of the listings were bad. You try to reach out to people, they don't respond. So you find a real estate agent who will help you find stuff. And I think they charge the landlord. And that's the last place I had. In this place, we had somebody help us find a place. So I recommend finding an agent to help you find a rental. And I think the third-party fees are paid by the landlord. And I do think if you're here for less than a year, Airbnb in different locations, you can find 6-month rentals, I think, but living with a Thai girl who is taking care of you also costs money. 30K to 40K baht to pay her service. Nothing is free. That's complicated. That depends on what relationship you have. I mean, I married my wife. I'm sure I spend more money on her than that, but I'm rich. What if you live with a Thai girl who has a job? When I met my wife, she had a job. She was making money. Yeah. If you DM me, or if you're verified on X and you DM me, I can give you my real estate agent in Bangkok or my real estate agent in Krabi. But I think you just look around, you'll find somebody. Just go on Facebook and say I'm looking for something, and you'll get 10 agents messaging you and saying DM me. Medical marijuana in Thailand is legal with a prescription for chronic pain. Medical marijuana is not just medical. Marijuana is legal in Thailand right now. It was about to be illegal, and then Prime Minister got bounced out, and a new Prime Minister came in, and he's pro-cannabis. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Recreational use banned? I don't think so. I don't think recreational use is banned. If it is banned, it's not banned very well. Thailand is very cheap. Forland is new to the chat. Forland, if you go back in this video to earlier in the video, I'll show it really quick again. I'll show it really quick again here. Here's an apartment for 6,500 baht a month, which is about $200 a month, right next to a station. This is close to where these are both close to where I lived. This is for $150 a month. You can rent a 300 square foot apartment. That's a 10-minute walk from that station. You can eat for less, easily eat for less than $2 in an air conditioned restaurant with good food that I used to eat at. If you know what you're doing, you can live cheap in Thailand. If you choose to live expensive, that's a different story. Okay, let's keep going.
Example of a British gentleman. Let's call him Robert. Let's say he's been here for 18 months. Came with 280,000 in retirement savings. Want to know how much he has left? Less than 40,000.
So this guy spent $240,000 in 18 months. How? That's being very careless. I believe the story here is that he had a medical emergency and he blew $50,000 on a medical. Healthcare in general is cheap here too. If you know, like if you go to the fanciest hospitals, it's still cheap. If you do it wrong, like a really good example is if you want an open MRI, there's almost none in Thailand, and that's like $2,500 for an open MRI. But if you fly to Japan for maybe a few $100 round trip, the MRI is $100. So if you learn how to play the game, now you just get a regular MRI, it doesn't cost that much. Forlin says, what costs cheap later costs expensive. Remember that. You don't have to pay for health insurance. Depending on your visa, if you have the right visa, some visas you do have to pay for health insurance. Flights are cheap. I fly around Thailand. It's literally, I live in Krabi. We fly to Bangkok. It's like $50 round trip. Yeah, if you're flying to America, it's expensive. But health insurance, you need to pay for health insurance on some. If you come as a tourist and you stay for 90 days, you stay for 60 days, you re-up for 30 days. You don't have to have health insurance on a tourist visa. You get a destination Thailand visa, which depending on how you do it, you don't have to have health insurance for a destination Thailand. You do a retirement visa, now you need health insurance. You do the LTR visa, you need health insurance. But I got I'm not even planning on using it. I got health insurance for less than $500 for a year. If you ride on motorcycles and you get injured in an accident and you're uninsured and you end up with a $50,000 hospital bill, yeah. If you go cheap, but if you use transit and you don't get on these crazy motorcycles and you get health insurance if you're worried about that sort of thing. Like I don't worry about health insurance because if I get hit with a $50,000 bill, for those who follow me, if I got hit with a $50,000 bill, I'll just pay it. I have that money, right? But the guy he's talking about came with $280,000. Maybe it was pounds. I think he said it was a British guy. How the hell did this guy spend $240,000 in 18 months? Like I had a pretty nice condo for $600 a month, $620. That's like $8,000 a year. 18 months. All right, there's $12,000. Where's he eating? Is he eating at the Argentinian steakhouse next to Terminal 21 where you can easily spend $100 for a meal? Is he doing that twice a day? I don't know. The expensive stuff is that men lost their wealth to their wife, girlfriend. That is expensive. That's a problem you had before you got here. If you are one of the popular stories about Thailand is a guy comes here and he meets a bar girl, which is a prostitute, and he falls in love. And then she says, "Oh, my aunt's cow is sick, and we need to get a veterinarian. Can you give me $500?" Like the veterinarian costs $10, right? But there's these stories about these women who are just milking the men for money. Or you actually live in a foreign country and you find a girlfriend in Thailand. You go back home and you say, you met her in a bar, right? You say, don't go to the bar anymore. I'll send you whatever you need. You send her $1,000 a month. She's still going to the bar. She's still getting money from other foreigners. She's got 4 different foreigners giving her money, right? Don't date bar girls. That guy's voice sounds exactly like the Tesla Q Yaman. Does this guy sound like Yaman? All right, let's keep going with this guy.
And he's not alone. According to data from the British Embassy in Bangkok, they process over 400 emergency repatriation cases every year.
Okay, so this is misleading. I wonder if this is deliberate. The repatriation cases to Britain are people who are hospitalized, right? Somebody has a medical emergency and they want to go back to Britain where healthcare is free. Then the British Embassy flies them back to Britain, and it costs a lot of money for like £150,000 for an air ambulance. Now, I would say stay in Thailand, get medical care in Thailand. The hospitals are great. But the story he's talking about is not some guy burned his money on like you know, he's not telling the whole story. Like you didn't pay for health insurance, right? And then you had a crisis, and then you got flown back to the UK, and that's where you spent all your money. But he's describing a completely different story than that. So let's keep going. Let's give you some more of this guy.
You can't actually live on $2 pad thai. Not as a Westerner. Not long term. The moment you want Western comfort foods, air conditioning that actually works, or healthcare that won't kill you, welcome to the expat tax.
Okay, so this is just total freaking nonsense. Like, just to give an example of healthcare, Bangkok Hospital is one of the premier hospitals in Thailand. I wanted to get a VO2 max test. The deal is if you shop around for healthcare, then you can get very good deals on healthcare. So I wanted to get a VO2 max test, which is a measure of cardiovascular fitness. I went to Bangkok Hospital. I looked it up. I messaged them. I had a consult with a cardiologist before the VO2 max test, about 45 minutes with a tech doing the VO2 max test, which is basically running on a treadmill with a mask on that's taking all the oxygen, CO2, whatever, tracking it all. And then a cardiology consult after. $80. My copay for physical therapy in America was more than that. $80. 2 consults with a cardiologist, right? Like now, if you want elite care and you want to like find the expensive care, you can find it. But if you learn the lay of the land, you know where you are. What did I just do? I just had a transcranial ultrasound. I'm paranoid about longevity. And I'm always looking for and I'm almost 60 years old, heart disease in the family, high cholesterol. So I'm always doing things to check, like, what's my situation? So I had a transcranial ultrasound, which is where they poke an ultrasound device at a few places on your head to look at your arteries in your brain. And then I had a carotid ultrasound. The neurologist himself did the carotid ultrasound, and a nurse did the transcranial ultrasound. So the doctor does this, and then the nurse talks to me after. It was like $250 at Payatai Hospital, Payatai Pahonyotin. Okay, not one of the elite hospitals, but this guy spoke English. He was obviously really good. He shows me the images. I'm happy to report things checked out well. So like this guy has this fantasy that there's some, and yes, you could live on $2 a day. That's $2 a meal. You could easily do breakfast for $1 meal. You could make a sandwich, like peanut butter and jelly. Like, it doesn't even have to be a Thai food. You go to the store and you buy peanut butter and jelly and make yourself peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You get a thing of milk. What do I pay? I get like 1.5 liters of milk or 2 liters of milk, and it's like $3. I think it's $3 for my large milk that lasts me, more than a week, like 10 days or whatever. Big jar of peanut butter, jelly, bread is cheap. If you just go Thai and you make rice and you buy broccoli in the store and you buy chicken breast at Lotus, chicken breast at Big C, at the supermarkets, at Macro, it's $1 a pound for boneless chicken breast. $1 a pound. Pork is a little more expensive than chicken breast. For some reason, chicken breast in Asia is cheaper than other cuts of chicken. Don't ask me to explain that one. I think it's like they think it doesn't taste as good as like chicken feet or something, or chicken wings. I don't know. But $1 a pound for chicken. Like, if you can't survive on $1 up to 70 baht or for a kilogram, which is effectively $1 a pound. If you can't get by, you buy onions and broccoli and some other peppers or whatever, and you cook yourself chicken breast, whatever. Minced pork is like a little more expensive, maybe $1.50 a pound. If you want beef, like Thai beef is like $2 a pound. Australian beef is like $3.50, $4 a pound, maybe $5 a pound. Does this sound expensive? And then you cook for yourself, and then rice is essentially free. Eggs, like I said, you buy 30 eggs for $4. So 3 eggs is 40 cents. Certain things, if you want fancy cheeses, yeah. But like yogurt, I buy this thing of yogurt. I get 3 servings. It's like less than $2. It's part of my breakfast, which it's a high protein yogurt. Ready for God to take me. What is going on with you guys? Oh, you've seen this video, Gavin? Okay. All right, let's keep going.
And that tax, it's about to bankrupt you. When you're looking for a condo online, you can find a typical Bangkok condo complex. Thais pay 25,000 baht for 1 bedroom there. However, when you call, it'll be 45,000 baht. Same unit.
Okay, so I rented a condo, 2 bedrooms. I showed in the previous, early in the video, I showed you the map where it was. It's called the Tree Interchange. You can Google the Tree Interchange Bangkok. You'll find it. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 60 square meters, 600 square feet, 36 floors, spectacular river views, 2-story gym in the building, 8th floor infinity pool, 7-Eleven at the ground floor. There's a covered walkway most of the way to get to the Gateway Bang Sue Mall. Gateway Bang Sue Mall has a skywalk to the MRT station. And it was 22,000 baht in the ad, and I hired an agent. You know what it cost me? 22,000 baht a month. I don't 45,000 baht a month. There's near me. There's a place called, if you're Googling 333 Riverside Bangkok, is a more luxury oriented condo complex that's on the river as opposed to near the river, like right over the river, and 45,000 baht would get you like 1,000 square foot 3-bedroom condo in the river in 333 Riverside. Like, this guy's making up the story that you reach out to try to rent the place and they jack you for double the rent. I've never heard anyone describe that before. And like, you go on Facebook, real estate agents will try to get you in something like 25% of the condos in Bangkok are empty. They want to rent them to you. There's tons of rentals. Metric Zeppelin says, Sawati Warren, I'm a passport bro with a Thai wife. We live in Florida but have family in northern Thailand. We own a condo in Bangkok. This guy has an agenda with all his M's motorcycling around and spending. Yeah. Where in Florida? I lived in Boca Raton, Coral Springs, in the Melbourne area. Beating the Philippines is a problem. Okay. Anyway, this is just hilarious. This guy's telling these scare stories.
Same amenities. That's an
that's total nonsense. I mean, if you saw a place that was advertised and it was 25,000 baht, which again, 25,000 baht for a 1-bedroom. I paid 22,000 baht for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit in a nice building. I wasn't in a luxury building, but I was in a nice building. Like, by Thai standards, it was a luxury building. By Western standards, if you want to live in the middle of everything, maybe it wasn't a luxury building, but it was still pretty nice. 8th floor infinity pool. Come on. 2-story gym. No, but so the 1-bedroom that he's talking about, Jim, is like 300 square feet. So if you saw a place that was advertised as 25,000 baht, which is, 750, 800, maybe $700, $750 a month. And then you went and they said, okay, for you, it's 45,000 baht. You just go fuck yourself and go look for another place. What kind of idiot are you that you would actually pay that? That's absolute nonsense. And you could go to one of my favorite spots is a place called Punawiti. There's these 3 luxury towers in Punawiti. You can rent a 1-bedroom there. Again, with the high towers, the spectacular views next to True Digital Park, which is a nice mall that has a great co-working space and everything there. And it's on the Green Line, so you're not far from going into downtown Bangkok. You can get places there for 25,000 baht or 20,000 baht or whatever. It's crazy. You're a 2-story gym? Okay, sure you are, Jim. All right, let's keep going.
The survival budget. $1,200 to $1,800 per month. Shared housing in Thai neighborhoods. Street food only. No Western restaurants. Public transportation. No cars. Basic government hospitals only. No international insurance.
Okay. $1,200 to $1,800 a month for shared housing I showed you again earlier in this video. I showed you can get an apartment for $150 a month. 10-minute walk from Bangkok station, and these places are all over Bangkok. Okay, not luxury, but if you're on survival mode, right? You're just going cheap. Then a 300 square foot apartment. I think that building has a pool. It has security. 10-minute walk from an MRT station, the blue MRT, which is one of the best. The green line and the blue. For those who are wondering, the green line and the blue line are the best lines to be on. And like I said, you can eat. You're on survival mode, right? You cook at home easily, less than $300 a month. Like if you're going survival mode, now you're talking not shared housing. You're paying $200 a month for a place that's close to the station. You're paying $300 a month for food. You're at $500 a month. Where's the other $1,200 a month? And he's got $1,800 a month in this. Like, what are you doing? That's crazy. But he's got more.
Comfortable living. $2,800 to $4,200 per month. Your own one-bedroom apartment, mixed Thai and Western food, occasional taxi rides, private hospitals with insurance, basic entertainment and travel. Western life.
So let's be clear. He said $2,800 to $4,500 a month. I had a nice condo, 22,000 baht. That's like less than $650 a month. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, right? If I wanted a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, right? In that building, I think it would be like 15,000 baht. There's this building called Regent Home 28 in Bang Son, which is one stop off of the blue line on the purple line. That building has all kinds of amenities in the building. It's got a really large pool. It's got one of the best condo gyms I've seen. 13,000 baht a month. It's like $300 a month, $300 or $400 a month. I don't know where this guy's coming up with his numbers. And like I said, I found health insurance for $500 a year, less than $500 a year. I don't have great health insurance. I have like the cheapest health insurance you can get that qualifies you for the visa, right? But I think it's $50,000 in an emergency. I actually don't even know what my insurance covers. I don't care. I just pay for shit. Ambulance ride. I paid for 2 ambulance rides for different family members. My wife's family, my family now. And $60, I think, was the expensive one. Like, if you're American, you're like, $60 for an ambulance ride. I paid $1,500 for an ambulance. Somebody was going to say, I have a story. I've heard stories of people at $1,000, $1,500 for an ambulance ride. $60, $50 for an ambulance ride. Are you kidding me? This guy is telling the story that it's now, my opinion, if you're going to come to Thailand, you should have a plan. You should have a budget. This is how much I can afford to spend. So if you are like me and you're a millionaire, right? You probably don't have to plan that carefully. Just don't spend too much, right? But if you got like the story he was telling her, the guy's got 280,000 British pounds saved up. If he's retired, is he getting a pension also? That was unclear, right? Because when I hit Social Security, I'm going to get $2,000 or $3,000 a month, let's say. Well, that's a lot of money in Thailand, right? So you got to have a plan. Now, if you're coming as an English teacher and then okay, that's different, right? But he's talking about people that are retired. So how much money do you have? And, how do you plan to stretch it out? So if you've got 280,000, well, what was your plan? Like, did you meet a bar girl and buy her a house? That's a bad plan. That's one of the common stories is the guy meets a bar girl, falls in love, marries her. He can't own the house in his name, so he buys the house in her name. She dumps him and she keeps the house and he's left out. Okay. Yeah, so don't do that. Rent. Rent is cheap. Just rent. I'm in this gorgeous, I'm not in Bangkok, I'm in Krabi, Thailand. I'm in a really nice house for $1,500 a month, 50,000 baht. It's a really nice house, right? But I'm taking care of multiple family members. Like if it's just you and a girlfriend, you could get by. Thai people live in a studio, 300 square foot studio with 2 people and a kid. Like you can do it. So you got to plan ahead, but This guy's
lifestyle.
nuts.
$5,000 to $8,000 per month. 2-bedroom condo in expat areas. Regular Western food.
See, now he's saying expat areas. So the other guy had a 1-bedroom condo in a not expat area, which is where I was living, and was paying how much? Like I said, I was paying $600 a month for a 2-bedroom. It's crazy.
Dining out. Car ownership or frequent taxis. Premium healthcare.
Taxis are cheap if you know what you're doing. You get a meter. First of all, Grab. There's an app called Grab, which is like Uber. There's an app called Bolt, which is cheaper. You just go on the street. You look for a cab that has a green light on it. Say meter. They say meter, mai. Yeah, are you gonna do a meter? And if they charge you by the meter, I've taken taxi rides for $2. I don't know if I've ever spent more than $10 on a taxi ride. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm talking about airport run. I don't know if I've ever spent more than $10 on a taxi ride. Jim Whitehead asks, in Thailand, if you can't own a house in your name, can you own it in a company name or trust that you control? There are some tricks to make that work, and I have never looked into it because I just don't care. Jim Whitehead says, Mark, there's a lot of older divorced or widowed women looking for good guys like you. Just need to find where they go. Stinky Penny says, yeah, but when that earthquake comes, don't be high up. I shat my pants. Yeah, I was on the 36th floor. We ran down 35 floors. Our legs hurt for like a week. And we had post-traumatic stress disorder. We go in tall buildings. If you say you're Canadian or Scottish, you won't be bothered because we assumed you're poor and are petty pincher. Mark says, Jim Whitehead got a crush on a 21-year-old Philippine girl, but she doesn't know me. I would avoid girls you met online. Unless you come here or there. Yeah, you can't own the land. There's some quirk where some people sort of own houses, and I just never bothered to figure it out because I just don't care. When I buy something, I'm going to buy it in my wife's name and not worry about it, unless they change the rules and they make it so that I can own it in my name. Never date one lady at a time, date two at a time, and don't hide it. The best girl will win. I didn't do that, and I'm very happy with what I did. Okay, let's move on.
Remember that healthcare everyone raves about? The world-class hospitals? I talked to Michael, a 67-year-old American who had a heart attack here. The bill? $67,000. His travel
Did Michael have help? I think the story is
insurance refused to pay because he was classified as a resident, not.
okay. So make sure your insurance is appropriate. Okay, make sure you have the correct health insurance. But if you were in America and you didn't have health insurance, now 67 American, I'm not sure why you chose to live in America rather than why you chose to live in Thailand instead of America when you have Medicare. That's an interesting choice. I don't know whether Medicare can cover you in Thailand. Probably not. But $67,000 for a heart attack? Anybody realize how cheap that is? But again, how much money did you save up? Did you come here with zero savings and you're planning to live on a $3,000 a month pension? Okay, that's a problem. You need to have a plan for how you're going to deal with that. And if you're going to be here and you're going to be a resident, then have resident health insurance. But I've never heard of somebody being denied like that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But my mother-in-law had a one-night stay in a international hospital, ICU. I think she was in one night. I think it cost me $1,500. She had her blood pressure ran away. If you, I am proactive about my healthcare. I just, like I said earlier, I had a transcranial ultrasound and I had a carotid ultrasound, and I get myself checked out a lot. And my opinion is, if I know that I'm at risk and I need heart care, I'm probably going to India. For those who don't know, India has some of the best heart hospitals in the world. Not supposed to be a great place to visit, depending on what you like, but because the doctors do such high volume, they end up being very experienced. If I want other kinds of care, I go to Japan. You could go to Malaysia. Malaysia, English is commonly spoken. All the doctors speak English. Most of the doctors here speak English reasonably well. In Malaysia, they all speak English perfectly. Malaysia's less than 1 hour. I think it's an hour flight from me where I am here. Maybe it's an hour and a half from Bangkok. You want to know the lay of the land for medical tourism and consider traveling. But if you have an emergency, you have an emergency. So yeah, have your insurance lined up. If you're not a millionaire right? You don't have money saved up and you're living on a $3,000 a month pension, then make sure your health insurance is in order. I don't understand what the problem is here. Okay, let's keep going.
A tourist. He had to sell his condo at a 40% loss to pay it. Flew home.
He bought a condo and he had tourist health insurance? I don't understand the story there. He bought a condo and he had to sell it at a 40% loss. Okay, so why'd you buy a condo? Like, these people are making decisions. Like, I think people who understand Thailand know. Unless, like I said, if you're a millionaire, like I could buy a condo. I could buy a condo for probably $100,000, a nice condo, smaller condo. Why are you buying a condo? Rent. Rent is cheap. Why would you lock yourself into that? I don't understand that. Yeah, I have no idea why somebody would do that. So there's stories of people making mistakes. Like, if you're coming to Thailand, have a plan. My opinion, don't buy a condo. Rent is cheap. Why would you spend $100,000, $200,000 on a condo when you could rent one for $500 a month, $300 a month? I don't understand that decision making. After she got pregnant, met my Thai wife and dated 2 years, married now 13 years later, still married, very happy, wonderful Thai woman. Congratulations. Okay.
Home with $8,000 to his name after living here for 3 years. And Michael's story isn't unique. Remember that.
Yeah, Michael's story isn't unique. Look, if you have 50,000 foreigners in Thailand or Bangkok, you're going to have some stories of people who screwed up. I mean, the classic story, just to be clear, the classic story is you met a girl in a bar, you fell in love. And when I say you met a girl in a bar, you met a prostitute in a bar. And you probably knew she was a prostitute and you probably paid to take her home. And then for some reason you fell in love with the bar girl, which is widely considered among expats to be one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Then you marry the bar girl. And then she starts asking you for money for this family member, for that family member, for this problem, for that problem. And then you decide, hey, I want to live in a house. So let you buy a house and you spend $200,000 on a house and you buy it in her name. And then something goes wrong and you get kicked out. She has the house and you're screwed. Now, like I said, if you're worth $5 million and you spend $100,000 on your wife's house and then she tosses you out, just move on, find another girl. But if your net worth is $250,000 and you put $200,000 in a house that you don't own, that's just poor decision making. Don't make bad decisions. Are there people who come here and make bad decisions? Yeah. Don't come here with no money in the bank and living on, $2,000 a month on some remote work job that ends up drying up and now you have no money. Don't leave make sure you have an emergency fund so you can get your air ticket, your flight home. Yeah, don't screw up. But the idea that like 82% of foreigners, of expats, are here about to crash because of these stories is just, that's what the guy said in one of the first 2 clips in this video. Totally ridiculous.
Bangkok hospital alone processes over 2,000 emergency cases involving foreigners every month. The average.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably true. Bangkok Hospital, so is the largest chain of hospitals in Thailand. So when he says Bangkok Hospital, is he talking about a specific location of Bangkok Hospital? Because there's a Bangkok Hospital Hua Hin, there's a Bangkok Hospital in Phuket. There's probably more than one Bangkok hospital in Bangkok because there's a Bangkok Heart Hospital and Bangkok Hospital. I think there's a Bangkok hospital in Chiang Mai and Pattaya. There's a bunch of Bangkok hospitals. So is it all of them together? And yeah, people get in car accidents and then they have emergencies. Don't ride on scooters. This is and I have friends who disregard this. Don't ride on scooters. Don't drive a scooter. Take cars. Don't be in a hurry. Take mass transit. Ideally, live near a transit line and take the BTS or the MRT. That's easy way to live in Bangkok. Cousin was serving in Vietnam, transferred to an intelligence desk in Thailand, met his wife there, about 55 years married. Yeah, great women here. There's great women here. There's great women everywhere. I think if you were in the United States, you decided you wanted to find a wife, my first suggestion, and you wanted to bring her back to America, I would recommend Philippines. If you want to live in her country, I would recommend Thailand. And depending on what you like, you might like Malaysia. Like Malaysia's not for me, but it might be for you. Vietnam works for some people. Laos works for some people. I would avoid Cambodia. I have a personal bias. I haven't been to Laos. I have a personal bias against Cambodia. That's a long story. I just didn't like it. That's not really that complicated. I didn't like Cambodia when I visited. Yeah, there's a lot of places. You probably go to Latin America. I don't know. But if you're going to live there, what I hear, Philippines is not a great place to live. Thailand is a spectacular place to live.
Average bill, $45,000. The Bangkok hospital alone processes over 2,000 emergency cases involving foreigners every month. The average bill, $45,000.
So I don't know where that's coming from. And, when we lived, I showed the map before. Where are we at? We're number 8. Okay. I showed this map before. The blue box that, not this blue box, but the next blue box is Gateway Mall. Across the street is Bangkok Hospital. We had a family member who had hit his head. Took him to Bangkok. They wanted to go to the government hospital, which was like a 5-hour drive in traffic, and who knows how long you wait. Like, no, let's just take him to Bangkok Hospital. Like, oh no, it's very expensive. I spent $300. He had an MRI. I think he had a CT scan. And then part of the $300 was the $60 ambulance ride to the government hospital because his father didn't want me to spend money for him to stay overnight. So yeah, you can have an emergency that costs you $45,000 if you go to one of the elite hospitals. But if you go to Bangkok Hospital, I paid $300. My mother-in-law had an ICU stay. I think I paid $1,000 or $1,500. I mean, yeah, you can have these nightmare stories and have a plan, have an emergency fund, have good health insurance, then you don't have these problems. Jim, somebody said that he's seen this guy's videos before and that he makes stuff up to get clicks or whatever. I think he's probably here, but he's just full of it. Let's go. Where were we?
Bangkok hospital alone processes over 2,000 emergency cases involving foreigners every month. The
2,000 a month? Now, this guy said that there's thousands of Americans or of expats in Bangkok. So you're saying that was that like 9,000? So you're saying like 20% of foreigners have an emergency every month? And they go to one hospital? 2,000 emergencies? 2,000 emergencies for expats or 2,000 emergencies for everyone? That's just not credible. And how many of those were covered by insurance? It's just like, like even if there's 50,000 foreigners, and there may be more than this, but even if there's 50,000 foreigners living in Bangkok, 2,000 a month, that'd be half of them in a year. No, not happening.
average bill, $45,000. The recovery rate for uninsured patients, less than 30%.
Well, how is this a problem? If you're an uninsured patient and you go get care, 70% of the time they don't collect from you? I'm missing something. Where's the problem there? Like I had a dispute with one of the elite hospitals because they overcharged me for something. And I refused to pay for this one piece of the bill. I was ready to pay the whole bill, except for this one piece. And they wouldn't agree to cut the thing that I wanted to cut, which is, it was like wasn't even $1,000. It was like an $800 bill. And I wanted them to knock off $200 because this thing I didn't agree to pay. And I ended up not paying because we couldn't work out an agreement. I'm not going back to that hospital. Has to stop me from getting visas, hasn't gotten me deported. I'm not recommending that strategy in general, but like I thought if I said, hey, this is not a fair bill, I didn't agree to pay this, here's what you advertised, whatever, this wasn't supposed to be billed to me. Only 30% collect, that means 70% of the people don't have to pay for it. How is this a problem? I'm not saying it's a good thing overall, but how is this a problem for me?
July 2024, everything changed. New
I'm going to cover that in a minute. Jim says it sounds like you can live well in Thailand renting a condo near beaches for about $1,000 total a month. That's another good example. There's a city called Chumpon, Chumphon. There's a beach on the north end of the city called Tung Walen Beach, Thungwualaen, I think, Tung Walen Beach. We stayed at a resort called something like Talays, something, whatever, on Tung Walen Beach. Really nice spot. Up the street from the hotel, there was 2 houses for rent by the same landlord. One was a 2-bedroom house for $300 a month. One was a 3-bedroom house for like $350 a month, including once a week maid service. Month to month, like if you said I'll pay for the whole year, you'd probably get a discount. 3-minute walk from the beach. Street food, restaurants right there. 7-Eleven wasn't walking distance, but you could have them deliver. If you're going to live there, you'd probably get a car, or maybe you'd get a scooter, whatever. Carsten says had a small surgery in Pattaya. Total cost for examination, treatment, medicine, antibiotic, total of 1,500 Thai baht. That's not even $100. Happy Farang. Oh, Happy Farang. Nice to see you. He says, I got to get a health insurance, hospital bill taken care of. I pay 40,000 baht per year. That's a little over $1,000 a year. That's $1,200 a year. And I get private room and express treatment. Yeah, exactly. If you're worried about it, then pay extra. All right, let's keep going.
visa rules. New July 2024. Everything changed. New visa rules. New requirements. Thousands of expats suddenly became illegal overnight.
I was here in July of 2024 and I missed this story. I'm not saying there are changes in visa rules. Nothing happens overnight. Things happen. They do change rules. You want to pay attention to what you're doing. One of my friends, there's something called an elite. Like if you have money, get an elite visa. The elite visas are like you pay money. Like I think it's $20,000 for a 5-year elite visa. You get a 7-passenger, luxury SUV ride home from the airport. You get to go through the fast lane through immigration. You get some other perks. You can do a 10-year, 15-year version that costs more. I'm working on the LTR visa, which is another premium visa that costs less money. It depends what you're doing, but yeah, if you came on an education visa to supposedly study Thai and then you don't actually go to class, if you're like here illegitimately on a visa that's not really appropriate and you're cheating the visa system, then yeah, you might have a problem. But if you come on a retirement visa or you find a Thai wife and you get a marriage visa or you get the LTR visa or you get an elite visa, the rules didn't change. Nobody got crapped out on those. The destination Thailand visa came along. That one's still working fine. If you're playing games and you're cheating on the visa system, then yeah, you might have a problem. But I don't know what this guy's talking about.
July 2024. Everything changed. New visa rules. New requirements. Thousands of expats suddenly became illegal overnight. Listen carefully. The old visa run trick, dead. You can only...
That's not true. So the visa run trick was you fly in as a foreigner. You're from a Western country. You're from the United States. You're from Europe. When I first arrived, you get 30 days. And then you go to immigration, you get another 30 days. And then you leave the country. You might come back same day, and I've done that. Go somewhere, go to Vietnam for a few days, go to Malaysia for a few days. You come back, and you start again. And I just did it. Like I've done it. I did it multiple times. I know guys did it for 7 years. I believe they are in some cases stopping or saying you can't keep doing that. But you could easily do it twice. That's 180 days. Sorry, now if you arrive, you get 60 days and you can extend for another 30. So you do that twice, once and then come back in again. That's 180 days. Figure out what visa you want to be here on long term and do that. You don't have to play. And education visa is something that unless you're really seriously doing education, don't play that game. That's not, a lot of people make that mistake. destination Thailand visa, the retirement visa if you're 50 or older, the elite visa if you don't have those options. 5-year elite visa starts at 650,000 Thai baht. That's about 2,000. That's about $20,000. Don't be convicted of, don't commit crimes, right? I mean, you could you could solicit prostitutes and that's not going to be punished. You can probably get away with marijuana, and there's lots of stories of foreigners doing stupid shit, and getting in trouble. Don't do stupid shit and get in trouble, but you'll have that problem in America too. All right.
Only do border runs twice per year now.
You can only do border runs twice per year. That's 270 days. 60 plus 30, do a border run, come back, 60 plus 30, do a border run, come back. That's 270 days. You can't find a visa in 270 days that fits for you, then maybe Thailand isn't for you. Thailand is a very friendly, welcoming country. The guy he talked about before had $280,000 when he arrived. $20,000, he's got a 5-year visa. Somehow he burned $240,000 without getting the 5-year visa? I don't know.
Tourist visa loophole closed. They're tracking your entry history electronically. Marriage visa, they're rejecting 40% more applicants than last year.
So I have no idea whether that's true or not. Are you legitimately married? I mean, I didn't even do the marriage visa because the destination Thailand visa was a better visa, and I'm switching to the LTR. I'm not even looking at them. I considered the marriage visa. The marriage visa is better than the retirement visa because you have to have less money in a Thai bank account. It's like half as much money that you have to have in a Thai bank account. And look, if you're poor, if you don't have $50,000 in your bank account in your home country and you make less than $2,000 a month for living on, then probably Thailand isn't for you. I mean, you could swing it. It's just that's risky, right? As long as you live cheap and you don't blow your money on hookers. Don't marry a bar girl and buy her a house.
Why? New financial requirements, proof of relationship documentation, surprise home visits by immigration officers.
That was all true before.
New retirement visa requirements, $27,000 in a Thai bank account.
800,000 baht. I don't think that's new. I don't think that's a new requirement.
Verified monthly. Mandated.
No, that's not true. You have to have the money when you get the visa. You get the visa, then before you get the extension, you have to have that much. But what's the big deal about having $27,000 in a bank account? If you can't afford to maintain $27,000 in a Thai bank account, then don't get the retirement visa. Get the destination Thailand visa that doesn't have that requirement. It doesn't have the health insurance requirement. Or get the elite visa and pay $20,000. You got a 5-year visa.
Health insurance, minimum $15,000 coverage.
It's $50,000 coverage, not $15,000 coverage. And like I said, I got my policy for like $500 for a year.
Criminal background check, updated annually from home country.
Didn't happen. That was not required for any of the visas I've done so far. Criminal background check. You don't really do criminal background checks in the US anyway.
Medical certificate, from approved doctors only. Renewed.
I don't think I had to do that either. Medical certificate? Maybe? There's a doctor in Krabi. I think it's like $50 to get the medical certificate. Like, what? This is a problem?
Yearly. Proof of income, verified through tax documents. But here's the kicker.
Yeah. You have, if you're going to qualify for a visa in Thailand, you actually have to meet the qualifications for the visa. That's all you got?
Medical certificate, from approved doctors only. Renewed yearly. Proof of income, verified through tax documents. But here's the kicker. And this is why I'm making this video. Even if you meet all requirements, they can still deny you. No.
Yeah, so I think the classic example of how people get denied, and I know a guy who went through this, is you cheated on a previous visa. You overstayed a previous visa. Don't overstay. If your visa's up, just hop on a flight to Kuala Lumpur. Hop on a flight to Da Nang, Vietnam. Just go somewhere. Go to Japan. Spend a few days in Japan. Go. Japan's a wonderful country. Go to Japan for a week. And then come back. What's the problem? Don't, know when your visa says you have to leave and leave. Follow the rules. Like, is this that complicated? Oh, Jim Whitehead says, you said the Philippines is a great place to find a wife if you're bringing her back to the U.S. It's possible I might try that one day. Why is it better? No, it's better because Filipinos speak English. Thai women, it's harder to find a Thai woman who speaks English. Most Filipinos speak some English, like pretty good English. Not great English all of the time. My strategy, if I had gotten that far, was to find a 25-year-old Thai Filipina who's got a master's in nursing, because I'm an older guy. I want somebody who could take care of me. I don't think Filipinas get into the U.S. easily. I think in general, if you're going to developing countries, one of the challenges is going to be getting your wife into the United States, and it's like I know from Thailand, it's something like a 15-month process to get her there may be some other way out. There's this, like, I never paid attention to it because I didn't try to bring my wife to the U.S. on a spouse visa to live, to get the green card. I wasn't trying for that. No, it's not just do not overstay, Happy Farang. It's also don't show up on an education visa and then don't go to school. If you're here on an education visa, go do the education. If you're in a Thai language school, go to school. Don't make sure it's a school where they actually have school as opposed to some sham operation. Don't do a Muay Thai visa, education visa, and then not actually show up. Because when you come in the country, they might ask you, like, so you've been studying Thai, speak to me in Thai. And if you can't speak any Thai, they might decide you're not serious about your Thai education. So there are a couple other things that are related to that you don't want to cheat. But overstay is bad, bad, bad. There's like a 90-day reporting for some visas. That's actually like $200 fine if you don't do it. That's not that big of a deal. So Mark Patachnik says he'd moved to the Philippines. I only know what I've heard from others, including from a friend who's Filipino. Philippines is just not a great country to live. It's not a great place to live. I'm sure there's some people who like it. The quality of life in Thailand is much better. The cost of living in the Philippines is actually higher than Thailand. Food quality, Thailand, how many Filipino restaurants do you have in your hometown? How many Thai restaurants do you have in your hometown? That'll tell you something. Thai food's fantastic. And there's a lot of other choices here. I've just heard, I haven't been to the Philippines. I'm not trying to crap on the Philippines. I know they have great beaches. I don't think they have great transportation, a bunch of issues like that. The GDP per capita in the Philippines is like $3,000 a year. The GDP per capita in Thailand is like $7,000 a year. In Bangkok, it's like $20,000 a year. So they're poorer here, but the infrastructure is pretty good. The infrastructure in the Philippines is supposed to be worse, from what I've heard. All right, last clip, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Meet David, a Canadian businessman who'd been here for 15 years. Thai wife, 2 kids, successful business. Immigration changed one rule about business ownership structures. Boom. 30 days to liquidate everything and leave the country.
So I don't, that's a story that, I have no idea whether that's genuine or not. It is true that Thailand changes the rules on people. That is a risk. So, my wife and I, in my wife's name, we are starting up, like he said, Thai wife. Why wasn't his business in his wife's name? I don't know why he had the business in his name instead of his wife's name. I don't know why he didn't switch the business to his wife's name when this problem came up. But my wife and I are starting up a cafe and co-working space, and I'm just putting it in her name. What's the problem? I don't have any opinions about China, Andy. I don't know enough. I'm hoping to visit China maybe next year, but I don't know enough to comment on China.
15 years of building a life. Gone. Just like that. His Thai wife couldn't inherit his business shares. His kids
Why not? What business structure did he have set up? How did you set this thing up? Like that sounds to me like the guy set his business up. Maybe he set his business up in the wrong way. I don't know. Oh yeah, is he reading from a script? Probably. I think that's actually fairly common for people who are YouTubers that they use script. I don't use a script, as you can tell. It's obvious I'm not using a script, but I think it is common.
lost their international school placement. He had to sell his condo in a fire sale, losing $150,000 in equity.
He had a condo that he lost $150,000 in equity on. Yeah, like I'll say it again. Don't buy a fucking condo. Don't invest money in something you can't afford to lose. Like I said, my wife and I are starting up a cafe. The rent on the cafe is like 400. I think it's $500 a month on the cafe. I paid for some air. I have money. Okay, I've probably invested like $20,000 in this business. I can afford to lose it. Don't invest money you can't afford to lose in a country that's not your country. Okay, so I just wanted to say, like, the closing point here is, yes, there are many stories of foreigners who come to Thailand who don't plan ahead, who don't watch. There's lots of videos about how to do it right. There's a great book, Make Thailand Home by I don't know if technically you can call him my lawyer. I think he's a California lawyer who lives in Thailand, Mark Friedman. His book let me get the book. I'll show you the book. This is on my reading list, Make Thailand Home. I'm just giving this as an example. Props to Mark. Um, you know, he's been a good advisor to me about how to do things in Thailand. I haven't had to ask him that much advice, but you can talk to you come to Bangkok. There's meetups in Sukhumvit, the foreigner dense area. You go to meetups, you chat with people, you learn the lay of the land, you learn how people do things. You watch videos, you learn from the videos how to do things. If your preparation for Thailand is you read the articles about how to go to blowjob bars, okay, well then that's not the strategy I would follow, right? There are plenty of articles on the internet about where the blowjob bars are, where the prostitutes are. If that's your plan, like my personal opinion, that's not a good plan. I actually have a friend who does it, not the blowjob bars, but he I probably a couple friends that use prostitutes. I don't think that's a good plan. That's not the way to live life. Um, but whatever. But whatever you're going to do, have a plan. This is how I'm going to do it. This is my budget. This is how much I can afford. Don't invest in shit you can't afford to lose. Don't buy your prostitute wife a house. Okay. Don't do shady things with your visa. Don't do shady business things. And what was the one rule? The guy had a cannabis business and they made cannabis illegal. I don't know what was the one rule that changed. Happy Farang says you can own 49% of a business as a foreigner. It's been like that for years and years. This story sounds wrong. Yeah. There's actually another visa, like a startup visa. And if you do the startup visa, smart, I think it's the smart visa. I think you can own 100% of the business and you can buy land within the business. If you are thinking about starting up a business in Thailand, learn the rules, play by the rules, figure out the best way of doing it. Talk to a guy like Mark Friedman at Bond Thai Immigration. Figure out the best way of doing it and do the right things. These guys wake up with VD and a clean out wallet and blowjob girls. No. The blowjob is in the bar. It's like stalls or something. I don't know. That's not taking the girl home. Sexually transmitted diseases are very common if you get in that world. Don't do it. 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 It ain't worth it. It's not that good. Bad idea. Stay away. Live clean life. Okay. Anyway, I believe that if you decide you want to come to Thailand, and I explained this earlier in the video, you can easily find a place to live if you have modest goals. Like depending how much money you have, but if you don't have much money, $300 a month or less, you can get a 300 square foot studio, 1-bedroom apartment condo in a decent place near a transit station. Live near a transit station, learn the BTS, learn the MRT. Best way to get around Bangkok. Make yourself breakfast every day. eat cheap, for your lunch and dinner. Once in a while, splurge a little bit and go out and spend. Like, let me go back to that. I think it's just off the map, a little farther down, right around where my fingertip is. Standard Burger. You can get a nice burger for like $8, including fries, and they have Belgian ale. Like if you want to splurge, get a nice burger for $8, right? If you go in, you want to spend money, you can always find a place to spend money, but keep in mind what your budget is. Live within your means, and you can do well here. If you have, let's say, if you know you've got $3,000 a month coming in, which is roughly what I think I'm going to get from Social Security when the time comes, and you decide, all right, I'm going to live on $1,500 a month until I've built up enough, right? You've got your emergency fund, and you save money, and you build up enough that you can start spending more. That's which is true in life in general. It's not just true in Thailand. Live within your means, and everything will be great. And the quality of life is great if you live in the right places. Some parts of Bangkok are less walkable. They're like walkable, but then there's like a hole in the ground, or there's a spike sticking up, or there's power lines on the sidewalk. Don't ask me why. If you go to some places, there's loose stray dogs, right? There's some things you have to be careful about. So you want to plan ahead. And then if you live in New York City, then there's places where you get stabbed, right? Or London, right? So there's virtually, my wife tells me that there's crime. I don't see it. I mean, the condo buildings have security. I guess there's a reason they have security. But anyway, I think Thailand is a wonderful place to live, if you decide to pursue this life. And you can do it, but you just have to plan ahead, and you have to be sensible with your money, like you have to be anywhere in life. If you make a lot of bad decisions and you cheat on your visa and you do all kinds of things wrong, then it's going to blow up in your face, and you shouldn't do that. And that's going to happen in your own country. And I also recommend trying to learn Thai. Plenty of people get away without learning Thai, especially if you stay in foreigner land. Foreigner land's a little more expensive, right? But not that much more expensive. But people get by in non-foreigner areas without learning Thai. I would recommend trying to learn Thai. Spend a half hour a day studying Thai. All right. Thanks everybody so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. And please don't listen to people who've given you fear stories about Bangkok and Thailand. Thailand is wonderful. Life is great. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.